When we did this thing the first time, I never thought we'd get a second chance, but it's happening. 100 Days of Making Comics, Anthology 2. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. Some of those threats may be werewolves. Some of those threats may be unicorns. Are those threats? They can be, and I think a lot of people may be taking that approach. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology 2 projects, Werewolves and Unicorns, and that's what we're working on. So if you're not familiar with what the 100 Days of Making Comics are, or to a lesser extent what the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology is all about, this is the second one that we're just starting out right now. This is the first one here. The first one had the theme of life in space. Like I said, the new one is Werewolves and Unicorns. And it's kind of a little broader than that. It can be any mythical creature. I'm not necessarily doing a werewolf or a unicorn, but I'm definitely doing a mythical creature. But anyway, so this is the completed version of the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology project. Anthology number 1. It doesn't say number 1 because like I said, we didn't think we were going to have another chance. We thought this was going to be like a one and done, but I am so glad that Mike Emmerich spearheaded this whole thing and is bringing back this project and running it, and it's just, oh man, it's going to be better than ever. There's way more creators, and oh man, I'm just super stoked. And the one reason why I'm super stoked about this, because in this original one, I didn't do a story in it, because there's stories and there's pinups, and I just did a pinup. I did this one here. This is the color version. This can be found on my website at serkworks.com. This was the one. This is the pinup I did in black and white for the Life in Space Anthology, and right now the original is actually up at Mike Emmerich's house, and it was cool to see it in his wall in one of his videos. But yeah, all I got to do for the first round was a pinup. I didn't have the time. I was working on my comic, this comic, Young and the Dead. And usually when I do these 100 Days of Making Comics videos, it's been a while since I've done one, but I always pitch my comic. I say it's a kids versus zombie story. It's like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. I'm not going to do that this time, even though I just did, because this is an entirely different story for me. And yeah, I'm working something out with the theme of werewolves, unicorns, mythical monsters. I've kind of got a really cool story that I'm adapting. I'm not actually writing it. I'll get into that a little more, and I'll show you sort of the process. But what I'm going to do in this video, or these videos going forward, is just kind of do a week wrap up. I'm doing the challenge. Did I talk about what the challenge was about? Did I forget that? There's a lot to pack into this video, because this is a challenge that's got a lot of different components. It started off as a challenge. It became an anthology. There's so many people involved. I wish I could like mention all of them. Maybe I'll spotlight some people or do something, or I don't know if I can put a link. I will put some links in the description of this video where you can find some of the stuff people are doing, like the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology Facebook page. A lot of people are doing updates. Other people are doing videos like this. Some people are doing daily videos, which I've done in the past, but this time I'm just going to do a week wrap up, because I got a lot of other stuff on this video, on this channel rather, that I'm concentrating on, and I don't want to spread myself too thin. So hopefully it's okay, but if you really want to watch daily videos, I've got 2 other versions of my process for the 100 Days of Making Comics and everything, and you can see how that all worked out. But anyway, so this is what we're doing. Weekly updates here on my channel for me. Other people, like I said, may be doing, daily videos, post on Facebook or whatever. But like I was getting to before I kind of got distracted, is what is the 100 Days of Making Comics all about? Well, it was started by Kevin Cross, who's the creator of this guy, Monkey Mod, which I believe is actually finally going to be coming out very soon. And you might want to hit, if you're watching this anytime around when it's being posted, definitely search out, and maybe I'll leave a link if I can remember, Kevin Cross's Patreon. Because anyone that's backing at the $5 level, I think is going to get the physical copy, and it's going to be exclusive. After that, you're not going to get the physical floppy copy. You're going to have to wait for a trade. So definitely want to hop on that right away. But Kevin Cross started this 100 Days of Making Comics challenge. to create his comic book Monkey Mod. He was finding that he wasn't being as productive as he thought, so what he decided to do was create a challenge where you spend 30 minutes every day working on your own personal comic book project. You do that for 100 days straight. Rain, sleet, snow, shine, all that stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, but you got to put at least 30 minutes in every day, and then the idea is that you either blog about it, vlog about it, post about it, let people know to kind of hold you accountable. And when he started this thing, he, you know, it was kind of just for him. He didn't know anything was going to happen, but the community grew. I was kind of lucky enough to be a very early adopter to the challenge. I think there might have been maybe 2 other people before me, and at that time I didn't even know if it was something that I could jump on. I kind of emailed Kevin. At the time I didn't really know Kevin that well, but I said, hey man, I really dig what you're doing. Do you mind if I do this as well? And he's like, sure, hop on man, the more the merrier. And it became an awesome community, and it continues to grow. And I mean, hundreds of people have taken this challenge. I don't know if 100 people have finished the challenge, but a lot have, a lot more have probably failed. But it's just an amazing thing, and the community surrounding it is awesome and amazing. And yeah, I'm so happy to be part of it. I'm so stoked to be part of this second anthology, where I not only get to do not just a pinup this time, but a full story, a 4-page story. All the pages are going to be 4-page stories. And not only that is I get to, I don't know if I'm going to follow this up. This cover was designed by Kevin Cross. Cool kind of wraparound cover, awesome. I am tasked with also designing the cover for the new one. So man, that's a lot to live up to. So hopefully, I'm going to wait till after I do my story to even think about the cover, but that will be coming soon. So that's something I eventually have to think of. So yeah, it's a kind of a crazy task, but I'm honored that they asked me to do that. So anyway, what is going on with my process, my story, everything like that? Well, I'm going to show you. One of the things that I did this week is work on my thumbnails. They're a little hard to see here, but I'll show you the kind of the process of this, and also some concept drawings that I'm doing, just generally what I've been working on this week for the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. So let's take a look at some of the process. We'll talk a little bit more about my project specifically. Alright, 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology 2 has started. Now usually when I begin a project like this, what I will do is I will write a script, but this time around I am adapting the lyrics to a song. So that is already written, so I'm going to move right to thumbnails, and what I'm doing now is I'm using a file that is included in the Comic Maker Starter Kit, which is available free at my website at serkworks.com, and it comes with all kinds of cool stuff like fonts and brushes, word balloons, caption boxes, sound effects, all that stuff. And this is a tool that's in there. This is the thumbnail template. And I'm sort of adapting this template, and that's the cool thing about the files in here. There's Illustrator files and Photoshop files, and you can kind of change them around. What I'm doing is I'm combining the pages, because the format that we're working on with this anthology is a double-page spread. So I'm going to go I'm going to go across sort of the board. My panels are going to carry on through those two double-page spreads. So I'm just changing around the template a little bit, and you can either just import this into Photoshop or Clip Studio or whatever you're using, or you can print it out like I'm doing now. And so this is the modified version that I've created specifically for this anthology, and I'm just going to start roughly figuring out my thumbnails. Now I'm going to do this, you know, usually with thumbnails, I mean, usually you do like one pass, you do a quick thumbnail and everything. I'm going to do a couple iterations of this. This first one is going to be really rough, and what I'm trying to figure out here is just the basic kind of placement where I want the panels to be, what scenes from these song lyrics I want in each particular panel. So I'm doing this traditionally. Now, one of the things that I want to do with this time around, and I've said this pretty much every comic book project, is I want to do it more digitally. But for the thumbnails, I'm definitely more comfortable working traditionally, and I think for me it's a little faster that way. I know it sounds counterintuitive because there's a lot of ways you can increase productivity by digital, and I'm going to do a lot of this book, most of the penciling and everything in this book digitally, and later on you'll see some of my sketching. I'm trying to do some sketching digitally, But for this, I've printed it out, and right now I'm just trying to figure out some panels, but this is all going to change. I'm going to do another pass, and then I'm going to kind of figure out more, you know, camera angles and just get a little better sense. But for right now, this is just the basics. So I'm probably going to do 1 or 2, maybe even 3 rounds of thumbnails before I actually start, you know, illustrating, and I'll probably be doing that in Photoshop. I'd love to do it in Clip Studio Pro. I don't know if I have time to kind of learn that while I'm doing it, but we'll see. We'll see. I might just decide to learn Clip Studio Pro as I go, because one thing that I would definitely say, and a lot of people who sort of procrastinate on projects like, oh, you know, I gotta wait till I'm ready with this. But the best way to be ready, one of the bits of advice I give all the time is people that are worried about starting a comic for whatever reason, because maybe they don't think they're ready. My advice is the best way to learn how to draw a comic is just by drawing that comic. So learn as you go. So I should probably take my own advice and do that with Clip Studio. So we'll see, but whatever the case is, I'm going to try to do a lot of this digital, whether it's in Photoshop or Clip Studio Pro or whatever, or maybe a combination of both. So now, I mean, this isn't super exciting, but I'm just kind of, while I'm doing this, I'm looking back at the song lyrics and trying to figure out how I want each, you know, how I want this story to sort of unfold. So if you're curious about the project that I'm working on and you want to know what it's all about, all you have to do is, it's based on a police song called Synchronicity 2. Back in the 80s, the Police, I think it was their final album, and it was probably their most successful album. If you've heard of, you know, a lot of Police songs are you know, that you've heard may have been from that album. It was really successful. It was their last album, and the album was called Synchronicity, and there's 2 songs on there. There's Synchronicity 1 and Synchronicity 2. Synchronicity 2 is the one that I'm adapting here. So if you just Google Synchronicity 2 lyrics, it'll pop up. But the weird thing is, when you do Google that, the first thing that pops up are the lyrics to Synchronicity 1, which is an entirely different song. One has nothing to do with the other. But anyway, you got to dig a little deeper and make sure you're looking at the right lyrics, and you'll see what this is all about. But it's basically this story of this guy, sort of, you know, family man, and it's just everything in his life is kind of, it's very, I don't know, mundane is the word. It's a little more, it's a little deeper than that, but this guy's definitely going through some issues and stuff with just his family life and his job and just the world in general around him. And it's kind of him devolving and kind of breaking down, and it's kind of leading to this very dark place. And it's a very dark story for what I'm used to working on, even though I do, you know, I do zombie stories and stuff like that. But my story, Young and the Dead, is very much, it's more in the vein of like Goonies and stuff like that. So even though or Monster Squad, so even though there's monsters and things like that, it's about kids and it's an adventure movie, and it's not super grim. But I mean, there are parts in it, I guess, that are. So I don't know. But anyway, this is a very dark story. But while this is going on with this guy and his family, we cut away to the scene of basically the Loch Ness Monster kind of rising from the depths of the loch and coming up and eventually kind of reaching the shore, and it ends with the title character coming home to his family, and also the creature, the Loch Ness Monster, kind of coming in on this little cottage at the shore of this loch. So anyway, that's the gist of the story. If you read the lyrics, you'll kind of piece together what it's all about. You can put together a pretty good picture of where I'm going with this. Now, because I am adapting these lyrics, I can't actually put the lyrics in the song because obviously those are trademark, copyright, all, you know. So this is going to totally be told in pantomime, except for maybe one line from the song. And I've kind of checked with this. I have a friend who, Shonda Mumram, who runs a company called Spaz Dog Comics, and I talked to him about this, the legalities of this, because he's done 2 anthologies, one based on songs inspired or comics inspired by the songs of the Pixies, and another one inspired by the songs of, I think, Nine Inch Nails was the other one. So he's done this before, so he kind of knows, you know, what you can do and what you can and everything. So I'm pretty sure I'm safe with this. But this has sort of been a story that, you know, since I originally listened to the lyrics, I really kind of thought that it would make a great comic visually. So it's something I've been wanting to tell. Now, when I first heard the theme for this the second round, it was something we voted on, and people decided on the theme of werewolves and unicorns. Now, mine doesn't feature any werewolves, it doesn't feature any unicorns, but that's the sort of the main theme. But the idea is that it's just any kind of mythical creature. Now, when we were voting, and just to be perfectly candid, I'm not a big fan of this particular theme. I thought there were a couple better themes. Marshall Lee, he threw out some great ideas that I wish kind of would have got chosen instead. One is basically what this is, but it's just got a I think it's a little broader and I like it a little better. But he suggested Tales from the Cryptid, kind of spin on the old Tales from the Crypt, but cryptid meaning these, you know, mythical monsters and things like that. So it's basically the same theme, but I think it's a little broader, and because Life in Space was fairly broad, I kind of like that idea. The other one he threw out that I really love that didn't get chosen, and who knows, maybe in the other ones we'll figure this out, but he suggested Comic Shop of Horrors, which I love too, because I thought it would be cool to do like sort of a kind of a wrap around with, like, you know, you've got, like, if you've ever seen Creep Show or those type of anthologies, or Tales from the Crypt, where they've kind of bookended it, where they've got the little intro character and then it kind of goes into the stories. I thought that would be pretty cool for an anthology, especially like a horror. So we'll see. But anyway, it was decided on Werewolves and Unicorns was the theme, and at first I was like, well, I don't know, I don't really have a story with Werewolves and Unicorns, and then it became clear that we could do anything that sort of involved this mythical creature. And the story that I've been wanting to tell for a long time features the Loch Ness Monster. So I'm like, well, there you go, that's it. So that's the story I'm working on. And if you look at the thumbnails, I mean, it's you're not going to be able to make out a lot of what this stuff is. This is more for kind of my, you know, reference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then just rework this. And now that this is going to serve as good placement where I want the panels to be. But I want to do some really interesting things with the panels. I want to do some really interesting things with the ink, and really kind of, because I'm only working with 4 pages, I think it's going to allow me to kind of spend a little more time on it and kind of stretch my comic making muscles and test out some things that I probably wouldn't be as comfortable testing out on like a full comic. So it should be interesting. My plan again is to do all the penciling digitally, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print those out and I'm going to ink traditionally, because and I've said this before, but I know for me personally, I just think it's faster to ink traditionally rather than digitally. I've seen so many people that ink digitally, and it's like they'll make a line and it's like, oh, I don't like the way that line is, and then they'll control, or they'll undo, and then they'll do it again, and they'll do that line about 4 times. So I just don't think you can get, like, when I lay a line down in actual ink, it is what it is. I don't go back and redo it, and it's still that screen, and it just still doesn't, it's still hard to get that line exactly the way you want. So I've seen a lot of people do awesome stuff digitally as far as inking, but I'm going to use sort of this hybrid method, because I think, and I also want to experiment with just some splatter techniques and different things like that I think organically work a little better with with just you know, traditional pen and ink. So that's my plan. Those are the thumbnails. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go deeper as far as doing some research into what you can see right now. So I picked out, I'm on Pinterest and I'm making a board where I've got some different cottages and some versions of that Loch Ness monster. I don't know how much of the monster you're going to see, because even though these pictures I picked, they look fairly menacing, the pictures to, you know, sort of use as reference. But normally the Loch Ness monster kind of just looks like a sort of a brontosaurus type things and not that threatening. So I don't think you're going to see much of it in the story. You're going to see bits and pieces of it. But I'd like to do it with like Alien, where you, in the first Alien, where you don't actually really get a good glimpse of what the creature is. And I think that adds to the mystery of it. There's also some scenes with some factories. So I'm just picking out some factories that I like, and I'm just going to pick out a few different ones, and then what I'll do is sort of combine them and change them around. But Pinterest is a great way to sort of gather your reference. What I've done is I've just created a board, and you can make it private so no one sees it if you're working on, you know, a private project. So this board isn't accessible to everyone else, but I do have, like on my Pinterest, if you search Serkworks Pinterest, there's tons of awesome reference material for drawing characters or scenes or whatever. So you might want to follow me on Pinterest as well. But anyway, so I'm creating this board. I'm finding some interesting pics on factories that I can use as reference, just to kind of give me some inspiration and kind of start where I'm going. And from there, I'll be able to kind of refer back to that and use that to kind of formulate what I want the look of this particular comic to be. So right now I'm moving on to doing some sketching. Like I said, I'm going to try to do more sketching digitally. So it was really hard for me to say, because I was like, you know, I think I'm more comfortable doing traditionally, so I think maybe I'll do my sketches, but I said to myself, no, you gotta start getting in the habit of working more digitally. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm in Photoshop, and the character who's only referred to as Daddy in the song lyrics, that's what I'm designing now. And like I said, he's sort of just wearing away. He's just at a place in his life where he's just not happy, and he's just kind of pushed around, and he's about to break. So I'm trying to kind of capture that, and I think I'm going to have to do a few different passes with that. But right now, this particular sketch I'm working on, I am sort of liking the direction it's going, but I still think it needs some work. I think he looks a little angry, and I guess I don't want him to come across as angry. I want him to be sort of non-assuming. Like, this is a guy that's been sort of kicked around and told what to do, and so he is upset, but he's not the kind of, he's more passive aggressive. He's not the kind to act out on that. So it's just kind of like, I just want him, I don't necessarily, I thought I'd make him a little more like a schlubby guy, but then I thought, no, I just want him to be sort of, you know, I'm going to add some, maybe like some glasses to him, and just like, and maybe like a, I don't know, like a sweater vest or something, just to show that he's not necessarily like a nerd, but just maybe he's just not where he wants to be in his life, and he's been sort of maybe passed over for promotions and just kicked around and made fun of by the people he works with, and his, you know, maybe his family doesn't really respect him, and all this kind of stuff. So that's sort of the look I'm going with. So I'm going to have to do a few more passes with this particular design, but I just want the idea of him to come across like, this is, you know, he's had enough. He's like, it's just like there's no like joy in this guy's life, which hopefully this kind of comes across a little bit, but I still think it needs some work. So this is you know, sort of the speed drawing. I wanted to show you guys this, but I'm gonna have to do a few more you know, iterations on this particular theme, and kind of figure out, just kind of nail down what I want this particular character to look like. And there's a number of other characters. There's kind of a lot of stuff going on in this story, because we do kind of flashback between these two timelines. I don't know if it's actually timelines. These things that are happening simultaneously, but on opposite ends of the world, that sort of are interconnected, and hence the name of the song, Synchronicity, I guess in parentheses. But anyway, so yeah, and I might right now I've kind of got a little more like balding. I might give them a little more of like a, I don't know, more of a comb over or something. But yeah, so far, I think it needs a little more work, and you know, maybe I might even throw in some additional sketches that I did after this particular one that I didn't actually record. I did some drawings on the Artcasters, some sketching, and I think those are a little closer to where I want to be, but and also I'm experimenting with style. I want this to be a little different style than my typical, what I do on Young and the Dead. And right now I don't think it's right there yet. I think this character could probably be featured in Young and the Dead, just the way he looks and everything. It's sort of that style. I'm thinking about maybe even going more caricature-ish, more cartoony. But I don't want it to be too cartoony because this is a very serious story. But the thing that cartoonists do really well is just expressions. Like if you watch Disney movies or whatever, they're really good at capturing those expressions. And some of my favorite comic book artists, like if you look at say a Michael Golden or somebody like that, who really like his older stuff in particular, just really capture. Like if you look at the Nom, that's kind of the look. Maybe something like that is something that I would want to go for, because those characters were very cartoony, but it was about Vietnam. So that's sort of something that I would like to kind of capture, something similar to that. So we'll see where this goes. As I go, maybe I'll fall into something that's completely different that I'm happy with. But those are some of my thoughts right now. And I don't know. I mean, this is. He's sort of got the vibe that I'm going for, I think, here, but I don't know. I think he needs a little something extra. But anyway, so far that's pretty much what where I'm going with. That's sort of what I've been doing on for this first week of the 100 Days of Making Comics challenge for the Anthology 2, Werewolves and Unicorns, and so yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. We've got 100 days to go. Well, not to go because we've already started, but 100 days total. So there's hopefully I've kind of scheduled everything out, so I think I'm a little bit ahead of the game. But for the most part, I'm happy with where I'm going, and we'll see what this thing becomes. It should be interesting. But right now I'm just going to throw in some other pictures of this particular character, kind of and that's where I ended up with this week, and we'll see where I go. We'll see what happens next week. All right, there you go. That is what's going on with me for the first week of the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology 2. Gonna be doing this for 100 days straight. I'll do the weekly wrap-ups. But if you're inspired by this, or if you've seen other people doing the 100s and you want to take on the challenge, if you want a possibility of maybe, I mean, now I'm a little more excited that, if we're doing the second one, maybe this will become a thing. Maybe we'll do a third one and so on. But in order to be featured in this, you have to have completed the challenge. That means you've got to do your 100 Days of Making Comics and do them for 100 days straight, the 30 minutes, and somehow let people know about it by posting online or doing videos or blog posts or whatever you want to do. But you got to do that, and if you complete that successfully, then you are in the running if we do a third one of these. So, take the challenge. Like I said, the community around it is super supportive. Just the best internet people that I know. I'm so happy to be part of this. And I'm happy. I'm excited at what's going to come with the story, because it's something a little different than I've done before with my own comic and everything. So anyway, that is all I've got to say for this week. I will see you next week, and in between there, you might see me again with some other videos. But as far as the updates, that's it for this week. Week 1 down. I'll see you next week for week 2 of 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology 2. See you next week. That is all. I forgot that's the way I end every video, so that is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.